Well, we're live now. This is where I have the big problem. It's just sitting down. Standing up.
You need one of them donuts?
I don't know what that means.
It's not a,
I just don't have
hemorrhoid or hernia issue.
I don't have any power in this right glute. This is where I'm at. On this deal. Oh, see, and I can't hardly pick. See, I don't know if you can see the swelling. See this difference in the legs? And I can't pick my right leg up yet. This total hip replacement, joint replacement's no joke.
But, it's good for the rest of your life, right?
I don't think it's got that kind of expiration date. I think they're good for what, 2025? Well, it would be good for the rest of my life.
That's what I'm saying. How old are you now?
I'll be 50 in September.
Yeah, your first one got you through 50 years. This artificial one will last even longer than that, right?
I would think so. I don't know. There's a lot of miles on that first one.
Take it out of you and...
But it's a trip, man. Like that first day was a lie. When I came out of that place, I felt so good. I was so like the spinal, and I was probably high on IV narcotics. Man, that you couldn't stop me. Got to get down. So we're going to try to do this with a kid and a dog in the house. You couldn't stop me. I got home. I did a few things. I went to the ball fields. I sat through 3 softball games, did a scoreboard, did game changer, drug the field, came home, felt great. The next morning I got up. I'm like, I'm going to start this rehab thing. So I went for a walk. So this was yesterday morning. I went for a walk, got on my assault bike a little bit, just a couple revolutions, did some things, no walker, going around the house doing stuff. And then the wheels came off, man.
Yeah. Probably about the same time that the medications wore off.
Well, that's the other thing. So I'm on every 4 hours narcotics, right? And it was fun for a while, but now they just make me feel drowsy all day and like not really connected. So I don't like the way that makes me feel. So I'm weaning off of those. I haven't had any narcs for a little over 6 hours now, and I'm just tired. I don't like the way they make me feel. So I'll try to save them before I sleep. But like literally, all I did yesterday was doze off all day without sleeping.
Like they call it the nods. So did you have a case of the
can you
nods?
imagine like just doing that all day and not having any sleep to back that up? Like that's how I felt all day.
That'd be awful.
It was pretty bad. But the surgery center called today, and my report yesterday was much different than my report today. Because I was like, yeah, I'm fired up. I don't know what everybody's problems is with these hip joints. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And the lady's like, listen, I don't think that's true at all. And then she called today, and I said, no, I'm using my walker. The walker's been a godsend.
Yeah.
But yesterday, nothing. So I don't know, man. It's different. It's trippy.
Does it feel functionally the same as the other? Like you can't, aside from the pain, like...
No. It's all tight on this side, and it's all bruised, and it's real. I've got to...
I mean, that'll loosen up.
Sure. I got a dressing on it. It just feels real stiff and sore.
Yeah.
And then my quad is obviously swollen. I don't know if you can tell, but they shaved one of my legs. That's weird.
I could tell. I could tell.
My kids don't dig that at all.
Yeah. Some dudes do that on purpose, though. Like
what's that?
Some dudes shave their arms and legs on purpose.
No, not this one. I shaved some other stuff, but it ain't my arms and legs.
Yeah, that's okay. We can leave that for a different episode.
My head.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
And my neck.
Yeah.
Everybody, get the dog. What's new with you?
I mean, not a lot since we last spoke, I suppose. The little mini conversation.
Can you believe it's been a year? Well, no. The last episode we did, but the last time we talked was
probably a lot since the last time we talked, but
I can't believe it's been a year.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do the same. So for those listening, Dustyn's at my house right now because I can't drive, allegedly, which is real true. There's no way I could drive. I can't even lift my leg yet. But so Dustyn came to my house and we're sitting on my couch. We're going to talk about mental health month because that's what it is, June. And we're going to check in on each other's mental health. But I really can't believe it's been a year since I came to Ankeny and we shot the shit.
It does feel like that was not a year ago for sure.
And to think of how many times just through text messages a little bit, we kind of visited here and there, kept up on each other, but no real conversation until last time, which was a good conversation, mind you. Let's talk about where we are with Men's Mental Health Month and where we're at with our own mental health. As you know, after I left you in June, I started the process of getting some treatment, right? and I went to frontline therapy, and it was pretty cool. I think I did 8 or 10 sessions.
That the insurance allotted number of?
No, I think that's no. Actually, my insurance actually treated me pretty good on this deal.
That's good.
Yeah, it was $20 copays.
Yeah.
I could go as often as I wanted to, I think. And I think we started like every 2 weeks. And then I kind of weaned down to once she figured out that I was a pretty reasonable guy.
I'm sure it's exactly what she wrote in her notebook.
Right.
Reasonable guy.
Right.
Underlined.
She's probably like, listen, man, I don't even understand why we're having half these conversations. But
Yeah.
I just kind of went down to once a month. It was more of a fact-finding mission than I think it was anything else.
For you or for
her? For me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm real clinical to her.
Yeah.
But it was more of a fact-finding mission, just investigative thing. I wanted to know what it was about, what kind of things they do, what kind of things they uncover. It was interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
So what does that mean? Like fact-finding mission and seeing what they, like you went in there to see what this whole mental health thing was all about? Like,
No, well,
that's good. It sounds to me that you're like, I'm asking for a friend.
yeah, that's fair. I think I went into it when you go on this mission, I think, to try to figure out yourself better, and you have to seek help, right? Like
Sure.
I can't just ask some random person to evaluate me and then figure out what they think, right? It's not like an assessment of athletic skill. So I needed somebody to, no, listen, dog, we're not interested. Hey, we take the dog.
Oh, there's your ball.
Obviously I needed a clinical professional to try to figure out.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to know, I don't know how to say it without coming off pretentious.
That's a risk I suppose we're taking here, right?
I suppose you're right. Like, I think I immediately thought that because I do what I do, that there's probably gonna, if there's not anything with me wrong now, if there's not anything wrong with me now, there'll be something wrong with me later. And so if I could get ahead of it, right? If I could uncover some truths about me and the way I think and the way I internalize information and how I see the world, and if I could get somebody to validate for me that I was on the right track or that I felt like I was doing pretty good, then it would basically take the weight off of something. And I don't know what that something is, Dustyn. I'm not trying to, I can't talk my way out of this. I don't really understand what I was looking for, but I had to figure out if the way I see the world is correct.
When you said, like, if there's not something wrong with me now, there's gonna be something wrong with me.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a negative way.
No, I know I think I know where you're getting at, but that's maybe that's an interesting thing to just sit with for a second. Like,
yeah. I think this whole growth mindset thing, when you're trying to figure yourself out, you basically, it's like sitting in hot dog water, man. It's just, there's no way out of it. Like, you just kind of sit in it. And will you let her out, please, and just keep her outside? This is my life, buddy.
yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm not even mad about it.
I wish that the people could see your daughter's on rollerblades trying to manage the dog.
Yes. And I just want my dog to shut up. So that's going on. This whole growth mindset thing is you just sit in your own bathwater, basically, and you try to figure out, and you just kind of wait for it to warm up, and it's never going to warm up. And so you kind of got to figure yourself out a little bit. Does that make sense?
Well,
good girl.
I don't know. I don't think that I don't know that I approach it the same way.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think about it in terms of, like, when you think about mental health professionals as providers, physicians, kind of that same, like, I'm not waiting for the cancer to grow before I go find somebody. Like this mindset of, like, well, eventually I'm going to get a tumor and I'm going to go talk to an oncologist. Like,
You're talking about prevention.
Well, I mean, I think it's
Like,
it's not so much like a terminal diagnosis approach, in my opinion, as much as, like, I know that if I don't address the way that I feel in certain circumstances,
Yes.
or the way that sometimes I'm being told by those around me that I'm responding more more emotionally than they would, being triggered by something. But that doesn't necessarily equate to like a terminal diagnosis of something is wrong. It's more of like just understanding why I am the way that I am.
Sure.
And learning how to navigate that.
Right.
Right. Not in a sense of like, oh, well, you're diagnosed with X and then you do this thing and all of a sudden X goes away. It really, and it's just through going through years of in and out of therapy and my own just introspection. Like, I just understand I respond to things in a certain way, and I'm more aware of how that makes other people around me feel. And so I may meter that in certain circumstances, or I may aggressively kind of attack it.
Are you actively, like, do you follow up with a clinician now?
It's been a while. I think I've replaced a professional clinician with being more purposeful in conversations with my wife.
Yeah. And
a close knit group of people that I trust.
Sure.
That know me well enough by now.
What did seeing a clinician uncover for you?
Perspective.
And explain that.
Like I used to think, maybe to your previous point, there was something wrong with me. Why do I get so angry over certain things? And just kind of getting some perspective on like, well, we talked about a lot in that first conversation you and I had. I wasn't addressing things from my past. I wasn't working through emotions of experiences. I was just kind of going with the flow, in the air quotes, and thinking that these traumatic things that were happening in my personal life and in the work that we do, that somehow these things were just not going to affect me. And I was just going to continue to be what I felt like was normal old Dustyn, and never really take.
We have a different way of looking at things, right? That we can think is normal, that is not. And so, like, I had a conversation with my partner the other day. It's not normal to worst case scenario everything. So when your kid leaves the house, it's not normal for people to go envision the worst case scenario of the most tragic thing that could ever happen to them.
Yeah. That's a great example. That's a perfect, I couldn't
but we do
a better one.
But we do it because it's normal for us. Does that make sense?
Yes. But then this is where the perspective piece for me comes in, of talking to somebody who understands cognitive wiring and can help me attach past experiences to current emotions, responses, and things like that. And then giving me the tools to either connect things or purposefully disconnect things.
Okay. Right.
So that we see in our day in and day out work, this is what our normal, and again, air quotes is to respond to these types of situations. Yes. So then we can mistakenly say, well, this is what's going to happen to my family. This is what's going to happen to me.
Sure.
And so then we can inadvertently project those things onto our kids, which is exactly what I had been doing even up to recently. Mason is getting ready to drive. He's 15. We're looking at getting him a car and like all these things.
Yeah.
And I was purposefully not wanting to let him drive with me because I was like, man, if I don't, maybe like subconsciously or maybe even on purpose, if I don't let him drive with me, he won't get the skills, and I can delay him getting his license, because I know that the second I give him, he gets his license and we give him this car, that he's going to go out there and he's going to speed and he's going to get T-boned and he's going to be dead. It's going to
do all the things that 16-year-old boys do.
Yeah. So then to talk to somebody and to have them help me, like, is that real? Is that likely? Is that something that is fair? Like, no, we can teach Mason how to be responsible, and then we can trust that he will be responsible. But to say that I'm going to connect A to B and say he's going to get his license, he's going to go out there and get killed, like that worst case scenario mindset. So not to say that they're going to say this thing to me and magically I'm going to stop worst case scenarioing things, but they're going to give me the tools to look at those situations and say, okay, break this down. Is that a fair connection that you're making? Do you need to respond this way? And by not letting him drive with you to get that practice, you're actually kind of harming him from being able to just move into those next phases of his life and be a normal operating teenager, right? And then even if I'm thinking one step further in that, we've had conversations with him. Lynn's and I both work in healthcare, and hers is a little bit different with labor and delivery, but she also still sees awful things. even metering some of those conversations so that we don't prime them to think that the world is just trying to kill them or that there's all these awful things just waiting for them. Like, don't set them up with that, because then they're going to maybe perpetuate those same worst case scenario approaches to life.
And I do it though, but I do it. I perpetuate the terrible things as a scare tactic, and right. And in my mind, it's strategy. You know, I'll say something stupid like, "Hey, you ever seen an 8-year-old stuck in a windshield?" I have. So why don't you put your seatbelt on, right? And they have to sit there and think about that for a second, and then they put their seatbelt on. Other than it just being dad saying, "Put your seatbelt on." Oh, yeah. Dad, I'm in the back seat. It doesn't matter. No, I've seen some real bad, nasty things come from kids not putting their seatbelt on. So put your goddamn seatbelt on, right? And so I do it and I'm not saying it's right, but the perspective that we have lends us a different lesson to learn, right? Or a different lesson to pass on. And I'm not saying good or bad, and I'm not saying right or wrong. Clearly, I think the graphic nature by which I sometimes try to make my point is probably a little too much.
Yeah.
But I feel like to justify it, I'm driving something home. That I don't want to waste my time telling you twice. I want to tell you once, and I want you to get it. I want you to feel the gravity of it the first time so that I don't have to tell you again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And that's not right.
I'm going to just go on a limb and say that sometimes your kids still don't put their seatbelts on.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, just by virtue of like they've never seen that 8-year-old stuck in a windshield, so that doesn't land for them. Like, you're describing something to them they can't even possibly comprehend. Not to downplay the importance.
No, but that's a good point. That's a good point. I don't know that's not like, but that goes back to the 16-year-old I'm invincible, it won't happen to me thing, right? Like, and I think that those are only lessons learned the hard way, unfortunately, right? There's nothing I can tell my kids that they don't already know. I'm a proud dad of kids that know it all.
Yeah.
Right? They got it all figured out already. I don't need, old dad doesn't need to tell them nothing.
So what'd you find out on your fact-finding mission? I
don't know that that's a open-ended question. It's a good question. First of all, I like the place. I like the gal. Her name was Summer. She's super nice, real chatty. Right? Like, I don't know how much of it she was. Here's what I found out. I don't have any sort of clinical diagnosis, right? So I don't have depression.
Were you hoping for one?
What's that?
Were you hoping for one?
No. No, but I mean, it is interesting. Yeah. Like when you, right? Because if we're in this job long enough, we just assume.
Yeah.
I did, and maybe that was naive of me to think, because there are people in our profession that have very long, healthy careers, right? It's not all, broken marriages and things like that, right? Like, I just happen to be up until this point very fortunate to have a good support system and good hobbies and good people and that kind of thing, and so I found out that clinically, maybe I'm just an asshole.
Yeah, I asked that question, and as I heard myself say it, I was like, man, that's kind of addicting to say. Were you hoping for one? Because that was kind of how I approached it way back when I was describing some of the things I was going through when Mason was first born. I really did honestly walk into this thing going, I hope she tells me it's this, because then it sort of turns into this thing I can
justify your behavior.
Justify my behavior.
Yes.
Babe, it's not my fault.
Nope.
I have X.
Yes.
And what I learned was that it's just really hard to sometimes undo bad behaviors.
Yeah.
And to hold yourself accountable and just like, I can actually do something about this. This is
100% on me.
This is 100%
this is not on
within my
diagnosis.
control.
Yes.
To stop flying off the handle.
Yes.
And to regulate.
Yes.
And to talk to people around me and to let my wife in. All these things that sound like, well, duh, why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. It's just way easier for me to be like, it's not my fault.
The golden question to me was, well, let's go back. So I don't have depression, anxiety, or PTSD, which clinically, so great. But the golden question I had going into it was, is the perception of me because of my job, or do I do the job because I have a certain personality? And I don't think that I uncovered it.
No.
What I did find out is that I have what she says is a very binary way of thinking, right? So it either is or it is not. And she says that's a distorted way to go through life, which I respectfully disagreed with her.
As a binary person would.
As clearly somebody with my personality would.
With your years and years of thinking in black and white, I can see where you would disagree with her.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that she didn't have to convince me of it, right? Because she's the professional, and she obviously drew this conclusion from, but I don't know that it's not a conclusion that anybody couldn't draw with, 5 minutes of talking to me, right? Like, it either is or it is not, right? And I don't know how to think any other way. So part of the problem with sometimes my attitude and the way that I take in information is, here's a classic example. So the other day I come home from work and somebody else's DNA is all over my suit. Okay. And I walk in the back door and the first thing I see is something not where it's supposed to be. Okay. So in my brain, the old brain, which isn't far from the new one, it was an instant trigger. I just had to deal with this at my job. Why do I have to come home and deal with this at my home? Yeah. So it was an instant trigger. It was, you just made your problem my problem, and it's the first thing I see when I come in the back door. So what I used to do is I usually carry a backpack to work, and so I usually walk in the door with a backpack, right, and my suit on, and I would come in the back door to this kitchen, and I would just start putting stuff away. The backpack wouldn't even hit the floor. I would just come in, and I would just start doing things because it's not up to my standard. It didn't happen my way while I was gone, right? And so when she pointed that out to me, I was like, why don't I just go to my room and take my suit off and throw it in the laundry and put my backpack down and maybe take a shower and then maybe re-enter the family as dad instead of walking through the back door as clinician.
Yeah.
Valid point. Why don't I do that? Let's talk about that. And I think the conclusion we came up with, because I have a binary way of thinking, this is wrong, I'm going to make it right now. There is no waiting. And so one of the things that she asked me to do was just to sit in that for a second, right? Acknowledge it and then move past it. So I had to like physically remove myself. I had to walk past something that was not in its right spot to go to my room, to take care of the job things and get the job things out and bring the at-home things back up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because there's not going to be, there may be a time when you're going to walk by those things. They're not going to bother you as much. But I think it's foolish to think that you're going to go through a process, therapy, whatever that may look like, and then this thing in you is just going to stop being bothered by stuff.
For sure.
Right?
Sure.
But it's more about the focus on like, why do I respond this way?
Yes.
And for her to say you're a very binary thinker, it's very black and white for you.
Yes.
You're probably never going to stop being very black and white as Jason Stanford, right? But you are going to get better at going, oh, for just a half a beat, I'm responding to this because I struggle to see the gray area. So then you're going to maybe then take that next growth step of opening yourself up
because it
to
was
the guidance of others to say, like, Jason, you're missing the gray. Here's the gray.
Yeah.
And that might help you put the pieces into place to kind of make sense of the world for a second, to then go to the room, ditch your suit, take the shower, come back out here. And
it sounds trivial.
Function.
It sounds trivial, but it never occurred to me to ask why. Let's say the dish was not in the sink and not the dishwasher. It never occurred to me that it just didn't, right? Like something else happened here today when I wasn't around that prevented that thing from happening the way that I would do it. And so I walk in and I just see it not done. And I instantly go, I'll do it. I'll take care of it.
But you don't do it with like maybe you do. Maybe I'm summarizing too much. With like a empathetic, grateful heart, or are you annoyed by it?
I'm annoyed by it.
Right. So then you, right. No, but honestly, like this is the thing that I do the same thing. Again, you don't know why that dish wasn't put in the sink. And like we talked about in our first conversation, chunks of information that are missing, our brains don't do great with. And so we fill in the gaps with what we think happened.
Yeah.
Maybe in this example, you think these kids, they have it too easy. They think that I'm just going to be here to clean up after them. And so they make a dish dirty and they just assume that someone else is going to clean it up for them and they walk away. When in reality, maybe one of your kids was eating and maybe there was something that came up and they were helping their sibling doing a really good thing and they just forgot to come back to the dish. Like, you don't know.
Maybe somebody grabbed it off that counter right there and put it in the sink.
Exactly.
They were doing somebody else a favor and then when I come in, I do
that exact same thing. And then I have made this mistake so many times. I can't even tell you. And it bums me out every time when you think I would get better at not doing it. I then take action on those assumptions. And then I find out after the fact that I was way off base. And it was that example of,
I typically am way wrong.
Yeah. And so then I will come off, you know, super frustrated with one of my kids, and I'll find out that it was the example where they thought that they were doing something helpful. And so then, like, I objectively just scolded my child for doing something helpful. And then you want to talk about a thing that makes you feel like a worthless piece. Yeah. Man, that's it.
And I can tell you right now, undoing that is not a thing. Like, I don't know that it's, you can do it in small chunks throughout the day, but I get up every day expecting. The other thing that I have a problem with is managing expectations, right? So, like, how I think my day or my shift is going to go, right? And the minute it doesn't meet that, I'm instantly in a downward spiral, and that's my problem.
Which is so funny working in emergency medicine.
Right. Well, you think you come in and you got a certain how your day's going to go. You're gonna do your own flights in your own territory, and nobody's going to be doing all this other stuff. And your kids are going to, put their stuff in the dishwasher. That's an expectation that's never happened, and I don't know why every day I get up thinking that way. And then the minute it doesn't happen, you get into that kind of mode again. And so it's a very intentional thing. Whether you're driving on the interstate, somebody pulls out in front of you or cuts you off, and you have to be able to say, maybe he just got, worst case scenario, maybe his wife just got diagnosed with brain cancer and he was spacing off. Or maybe he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
in either of those circumstances, I am checking myself as much as checking you on this. Like, can I control it? Can I make him unpull out in front of me? Right? So then am I going to let this complete stranger who's going to go on about their day, probably not even ever realizing that they pulled out in front of us in the first place.
Right.
Right. But then we attach this thing, and it's that egocentric perspective of, like, they pulled out in front of me.
Yep.
They're trying to piss me off.
Of all the people on the interstate.
Yep. You're trying to ruin my day, buddy. Yep. And this person is miles away from any of those things.
Yeah.
But that was about me.
I have a hard time with that.
I do too.
And I'm trying to, and I really have to focus to get better. It's like any other habitual change. Like, if you're not used to making your bed every morning, you might make it once or twice, and then you might go a couple days without making it. And then you got to get yourself back on track until it's a habit again. Really, me putting myself in a position where I am trying to understand my reaction to things is very hard.
Yeah. So that's the work of, I believe that's the work of therapy, is understanding why we respond the way we do. Some things we're hardwired for, and it's just about understanding that that's how I'm going to respond and getting better at
taking a deep breath, not letting it,
and kind of putting that stop in between input and output, right? Because like that was my hardest. I still deal with it, but that was the biggest thing for me to overcome, was to just not be such an instinctive.
It's very visceral with me.
Yeah, same. And I would just fly off the handle on stuff. And I've gotten better about building in that pause, and even just that instantaneous or understanding I got to walk away from this. And the more you do it, the better you get at letting stuff, I hate this phrase, but like letting stuff go, let it slide off your back. Like that kind of stuff, it feels like it doesn't fully encompass how much work goes into doing those things. But
what do you think we got to do when it comes to the worst case scenario stuff?
Yeah.
Right. You have 2 kids.
Yeah.
I got 4. The statistics are pretty high that up until this point, I have had to deal with 0 tragedy, right? Or 0. The statistics are high, though, that someday I will. I'm not interested in it, right? But it's hard for me to not think about that stuff. The days that I intentionally say to myself, the kids' stories are already written, there's nothing I can do about it except for support them in their direction. Yeah. I feel real good, right? There's a sense of calm that comes over me knowing that. But the days that it seems like maybe we've kind of had a rough go of it at work, and now all of a sudden my I would say my anxiety is a little higher for not being able to control the uncontrollable, really kind of starts to bother me. What do you think is the mitigating strategy for that? Or have you noticed Did your experience with therapy give you some sort of tool to mitigate that?
I don't know if therapy did as much as my faith. That's a tricky thing for a lot of people. I get it.
Nope.
Not to minimize and just to say it's as trivial as like, well, just start going to church. You're gonna feel better about it. Just, oh, you don't believe in God? Just start believing in God. Right? That's gonna be a thing, right? That's not how that works.
No.
But that's what's worked for me, is just being intentional to not be hyper focused on the negative, and to identify when I am kind of feeling myself spiral towards those things, and instead taking a moment to be grateful for the things that I do have, the time that I have had, and to just rely on the things that I know to be true from, things I've read in the Bible and things that I've watched transpire around me, that if something does happen, God forbid, I know that I won't have the strength to get through it. And that's gonna be something that if that day does come for me, I don't know exactly how I'll respond. But I do the same thing. We've had somewhat recently we had a real tough one at work. Made no sense. And a family lost their very young child suddenly, like very, very quickly. Like came into the hospital the previous day with a viral infection, and in a very short amount of time went from being kind of this ornery kid that was fighting you to let you put the IV in, to we were getting ready to move her onto our cot, and she passed away. Like went fast. Oof. And watching the family go through that was probably the hardest thing. And in our nature of work, we've seen a lot of awful things. That one's up there.
Oh, sure.
And you can't help but insert yourself into that situation. Just be human nature, empathy, right? Why else would I get emotional? It wasn't my child, right? My day was going to go on. My children are at home and healthy. But I felt myself, as we all oftentimes do, feeling very sad, and so that's empathy. And so, and part of that comes with like, man, what would I do if this was my child, right? And you can easily fall down that pit of, well, I'm just going to let my kid go out, not going to go to sleepovers, not going to go to the pool, not going to go to school, because that's likely where this child contracted their virus. Was they probably had their hand on something and put their fingers in their mouth that some other kid had in their mouth, and that's these. So they're just going to live in this bubble, and even going all the way back in that, I'm sure our parents to varying degrees felt the same things, and that yet here you and I are, right?
Yeah.
We've made it this many years, and I've got a big family. I've got six siblings, brothers and sisters. And up until, a couple of years ago, we all made it to adulthood. We just lost my brother a couple of years ago, but that was somewhat self-induced. So yes, the odds, you could look at them and go, man, it's pretty decent that I might experience this, but it's probably also equally decent that you won't.
Have you ever sat in a big group of people like us, first responders? And what I've noticed is, where I'm going with this is I'll watch clips on like Instagram of former responders who now go out and do mental health talks. It almost seems like he's talking right to me, or she is talking right to me. Like, it doesn't matter the situation. I can go into it and be like, holy crap, I have thought that exact thing. It almost seems like there's some sort of template for our careers, where we start here and then we kind of go through this phase where we don't really communicate real well with our spouse. We kind of come home, we show up different at work than we do at home, right? There seems to be some sort of negative vice involved, and then something tragic happens, and then all of a sudden we spin it all the way around, and now we come out the other end better than what we started. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like what we do, me and you, first responders, firefighters, police officers, dispatchers, kind of go through this same transformation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Same life cycle.
I haven't, and so obviously I'm trying to prevent a lot of it with some of these younger kids, but even in the people that are in my profession or in our profession, I look at them and go, holy smokes, I was you once. And I'm going to tell you right now, stop doing what you're doing and do it different. Otherwise, I can tell you exactly how it's going to go. Have you ever?
Yeah, I think that's rooted in a little bit of we like to think that we're all unique, but there's probably a lot more that we have in common than not in common as people, right? Well, this guy's speaking right to me. Well, that's because we're all kind of, to some degree, we're humans.
Yes.
And it's human nature.
We're all
That's
yes.
not just like a trivial phrase, right? Human nature is a real thing. So there's part of that is there. But this even goes back to like telling your kids, put your seatbelt on, because you've not seen what an 8-year-old stuck in a windshield looks like, and they're still going to not put their seatbelt on. Like we run the risk of coming off as that crotchety old timer in the industry. That's like, hey, listen here, young buck. Like, I see where you're going here, and it's not going to go well for you. But we are saying those things because it's born in our experiences. That means nothing to them. They haven't had those experiences yet. So it's not going to land the same way. So to some degree, we can make some headway with the next generation to say, hey, listen, when this happens, you might respond this way and feel this way. And here's how you might want to think about you respond after the fact. You're going to go through some real tough stuff, right? You're going to feel maybe some temptations to dig into some vices and deal with your frustrations and hurt by drinking, by distancing yourself from your family. You can. That's a choice.
Yep.
But here's what I did, and here's where I wish I had someone tell me when I was your age, right? But just to hit them with that, like, hey, stop doing this. It's not going to work out well for you. It doesn't mean anything to them necessarily.
Isn't that funny? They always ask, would you go back and do it different if you knew what you knew now? And I in the beginning, you're like, yeah, but I got kids. I shouldn't have to. I should be able to pass that. I've made mistakes, so my kids don't have to, right? Even you take it into the parenting perspective, it goes back to the wear your coat when it's cold thing. Nope, made a mistake, got cold. I'm trying to tell you. Same thing with the young people in our career. I've made the mistakes that you're about to make. I can save you some trouble if you just want to listen for a second and be like, you should probably go home and take your boots off outside, right? And make that change before you walk in the back door for your wife and young daughter or young son before you walk in there, because their day was much different than yours. And her expectation when you walk in the house is way different than your expectation when you walk in the house. And that's the biggest thing I can teach people is you're going to want to keep score. You're going to want to one up each other, right? I did with Lindsay all the time. Hey, I just got off my 24-hour shifts. I get to do whatever I want, lady. She got to stay home for 24 hours with 2 small kids. So in her mind, she's like, I kind of get to do some things too here, bro.
Yeah.
And man, I think obviously I had to get lucky with her tolerance level. But I think when we can't recognize that we're in our own stuff and we can't get ourselves out, that's when it goes south. It's recognizing that bathwater ain't going to get any warmer, and I need to figure out something else if I want to do something. Would you recommend, do you think as a preventative, we have preventative screenings for everything. Do you think that everybody in our profession needs to go at least have some sort of initial consultation or some sort of class or some sort of anything to kind of hear things from somebody else? Do you think that would be beneficial?
It might. Yeah, it's hard to say, I suppose, in like such a broad approach to the question. I think that there has been a pretty good demystifying and kind of removing the stigma in the last couple of years, in the last decade or so, in general, to therapy, to counseling. I think that even changing the way that you describe it, therapy.
I had to change. Right? When I was going, Dustyn, I was like, if my kids asked me where I was going, I just said I had a doctor's appointment.
But like counseling is one of the ways that you can look at this and like what you and I are doing right here can be considered counsel.
Yeah.
Taking an opportunity to allow the things that you think you hold to be true to be put to scrutiny to see if they hold water. Like, and you trust the people around you to give you different perspectives for you to weigh and make a good decision on based on what you're hearing other people tell you. Like, I trust myself to the counsel of a lot of people. Am I still actively going to therapy? Well, not from a licensed therapist on a regular basis, but even just reframing the way you're thinking about the way that you move through life. I think that that is something that anyone in emergency healthcare professions would benefit from. Not making the mistake of thinking you're on an island, that you're unique, that you've got it, right? That it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let your assumptions be tested. And if no one's going to think that you're silly, if the way that you used to think about a certain circumstance or the way you used to approach a thing, you're like, man, I had that all wrong. Like, that can sometimes be painted as a sign of weakness. Like, that guy doesn't have a good head on his shoulders. I would say that that's the opposite of that. Like, that's the best way to be, to when confronted with something that is clearly contrary to the way that you believe or the way that you act, to change course off of it.
Yeah,
that's the way that we should be. But we, like, you find somebody who's clearly got a chemical dependency, and you're like, man, you got to stop doing this. Oh, I can quit whenever I want. No, you can't. You are clearly addicted. No, I can quit whenever I want. We could all see that this person has a chemical dependency, but they're like, nope, I'm going to dig my heels in.
Their reality is different than ours.
Because they're refusing to allow themselves open to the counsel of others, right? Yep. Allowing their assumptions of what control looks like to be tested. So we would look at that person and go, what a fool. They're just digging their heels in. But we can do the same things with some things that aren't quite so on the nose, socially taboo. Jason, you're a very binary guy. No, I'm not. By saying no, I'm not, are you still are you demonstrating right there that, like, well, maybe you are?
I'm a real go with the flow kind of guy, as long as I control the flow.
Exactly. If it's my flow on my terms, everything's fine.
Yep.
Right.
I don't know what your problem is.
So that's an example of, like, we can see some of these things in our own day to day. We can see these things in others. And
do you think there's a line? Here's what I struggled with initially was, the goalpost is probably different for different people, but like, at what point is it crossing the threshold to, I don't want to say weakness. I don't want to say, like, giving in, and how do I want to say this, Dustyn? The kind of, there's a certain amount of stuff that we have to take on. Number one as men, and number two as first responders that come with the job. And then there's a certain amount, I think at some point we get to the threshold of, whew, that was heavy. I might need a little bit of extra either help with this one, or I might need a second here to just kind of sit in this for a minute. I struggled very hard with where that line was, from the perception of being, I don't want to say weak, but I want to say resilient, to, now we need to go, right? Do you think that there's a line? Do you think it's different for everybody? Do you think it's certainly not objective? We can't say, if you've done these things, now it's time, versus, listen, man, you've only been in the job for a year. You shouldn't be feeling this way yet, right?
Yeah.
Like, you haven't seen enough to be this, put your label on it, right? That's the part I struggled with. At what point do I just stay silent, move, solve problems, be the person I'm called to be, but yet at the same time be capable of saying, hey, listen, I'm going to need a minute on this deal. Let me ask one of my friends, let me have a consultation. Let me do those things. Am I articulating that right?
Yeah. I think that you're right. It's different for everybody. Resiliency is one of those things I haven't fully worked out, like, a solid definition myself. So I don't know where exactly I would land on, like, where are you being resilient versus when are you just being ignorant?
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, I'm resilient. I can handle this.
I'm real tough.
I'm real tough.
I got this.
Yeah. Like, you clearly you don't. I think it might come back to being open to hearing feedback from others. Yeah. Like, Jason, you used to be real fun to work with, and now you're a wet blanket, man. Like, it's a real bummer to pick up a shift with you. What's up? And you're like, no, I've got it. I'm good. Like, we talked about that. Right. And
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And when you're willing to hear somebody out and they say, hey, man, I'm noticing a change in you. And rather than brushing it off and then kind of going and sitting with it, and eventually you're just going to come off of it and you hope it goes away.
So you think it's one of those things where, let's say, Dustyn always shows up for me. Doesn't matter what's going on in his life, he is always showing up for me. And then one day he doesn't, and I notice a change in him. Maybe he's a little more withdrawn. That's the threshold, we think, maybe, where, hey man, I don't know what's changed in the last 2 months, but whatever's wearing on you, I see it. I'm here if you want to talk about it.
I think it's the receiving side of that, if that's how I'm hearing it, is when somebody comes to you and says that, how do you respond to it?
Okay.
Right. I think that's the thing where if you're so quick to brush it off, I don't know that you're ready to tackle some of these things. But if you're willing to sit down and say, you know what, you might have something there. Let's talk through this a little more. Do you mind? Or like, what else you got for me? Like, let me sit with this and hear you out, and be willing to honestly consider the things that they're saying. Right. I'm in a group chat thread with some friends. It was, there were 4 of us before Petrick passed away. He was in that chat thread. And the other day I noticed that his number came out of the conversation. Oh. So I assumed that, like, if his folks, canceled his cell phone bill and that was reassigned to somebody else, and like, he's no longer in there. So when I opened up that chat thread, still on my phone, I would always see his picture up there, and I could scroll back and I could see some of the stuff he said. But I noticed one day that it was no longer there. It was just Hannah and Kyle and myself in this chat thread. I was like, man, that bums me out. Like, I mean, he's been gone for a few years, that's not news, but it was one of those things. And I didn't think anything of it. But I told my wife earlier in the day, I was like, yeah, I just noticed like Petrick's name's not in the thread anymore. And like, it was just like a little twist of the knife, thing I didn't need that day, something I wasn't super jazzed, to find out, but I didn't think anything of it. And I came home and I didn't feel like I was acting any different, but Lynn's kind of picked up on some stuff that I was responding a little more sharply to some things and was a little more withdrawn. And she was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she was like, is it the Chris thing? Is that kind of weighing on you? And maybe 10 years ago, Dustyn would have just blown it off. Like, you know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, whatever, get out of here. But over enough of these instances where she's been dead nuts on, I was like, shit, maybe she's right. Yeah. Maybe I just need to take some time and sit with that for a second. So I did. Like, I just sat down and I thought, like, and earlier in the day, I moved past it, but I just gave it 10 minutes of time, just kind of sit with the emotion and to kind of process and work through it, and kind of put it in its place. It's a small example of some of those things when people bring stuff. But you did
that because somebody called you out on it and held you accountable to it? Or you did that because that's part of the growth that you've come accustomed to?
They're one and the same.
Okay.
Right? It's the thing of when someone tells you, hey, here's a way you can allow yourself to be held accountable, and I think it's going to be beneficial for you in the long run if you're trying to attack some of the ways that you feel yourself responding to circumstances, the way that your family is observing your behaving. These are some things you need to start putting into practice, learning those things in counseling and professional therapy, and then putting them into practice when you're given the opportunity.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because my wife will do the same thing. What's wrong? And I'll be like, none. I'm not sure what you're getting at here, lady, but yeah, I'm good.
But can we wrap this up, please?
But she'll know something and I know something, and I'm clearly lying to her. Like, not right. Like, I'm just not interested in verbalizing how I feel.
In every moment, do you notice that there's something different about you? Or are there times when you're like, man, I really genuinely don't know what you're talking about?
No, my inner monologue is pretty much going 100% all the time. Like, I'm pretty attuned. Like, I know there's something. But for whatever reason, I don't. Either I don't want to burden her with it, or I need to handle my own, right? I'll figure it out type of thing. I still have a lot of, I don't want to call it machismo, but I still have a lot of, I got me, like, but I'm much more super aware, right? And I don't know how to explain this either, really. I am capable of just pulling back, though. Before, I would just keep going 100 miles an hour. I'd be like, I ain't got time for these feelings. I ain't gonna waste time doing this shit. Like, I got stuff to do, and let's get it going, right? Binary. You either do or you do not. Right. I got stuff to do, right? And anymore, and I think a lot of it has to do with probably Malcolm's passing, is I am more capable of just, I'll be right here for a second.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how I'm feeling, right? But I'm going to sit here for a second and let it feel.
I'm only smiling because it's the thing that I do. I think I'm doing a thing that other people don't understand around me. Like, yes. Your wife fully knows.
100%.
Right? You don't have to tell her how you're feeling. She knows you better than anybody.
Yep.
She knows exactly what you're going through.
But because I think I'm special,
of course,
right? Because I think I'm different than anybody else in the history of this world. And even that PT told me, this was funny shit. I went the pre-therapy or pre-surgical physical therapy visit.
Yeah.
He's like, hey man, how long are you gonna be off work? I said, I don't know, 4 weeks. He goes, because you're special. And I was like, well, yeah.
How'd you know?
I was like, duh. You clearly don't know who I am.
You clearly have heard of me.
Yes, I CrossFit, bro. Like, right. This is a thing.
Can't you tell?
And we kind of had a good laugh, and I had a good laugh at it too because I played right into it.
Oh yeah.
I know where you're getting at here, man, and you're absolutely correct. My response to your question was because I think I am different than everybody else in the whole world, which, to a point, yes, we are. But no, we're not. We're all really the kind of same, right? How we internalize information and how we handle things, we're all kind of the same. But it was a funny joke. Like, yeah man, I'm different. So when I have these feelings around the house, I got it. I'll figure it out. It's on me. I'm way better at this than anybody in the world of internalizing the way I feel right now in this moment. And I'll figure it out. The truth of the matter is I'm not.
And to piggyback on that, other people around you are noticing it, but just to varying degrees, they're just choosing to not say something.
Isn't that funny too?
Well, it's funny, and it's also disheartening sometimes. My daughter does this to me more than my son, but she's so, I mean, people are intuitive, but my daughter is very intuitive, and it bums me out when I'm having, a day and I can feel myself struggling, but I think I'm holding it all together.
Yep.
And then I'll pick up on little things that my daughter is doing around the house to try to offload some things for me. She'll maybe offer to do something because sometimes, like, the dog annoys me. Our dog, his behaviors and things like that drive me crazy.
Yep.
If I feel like I'm doing okay and I'm out in the kitchen doing something, and Lambo will come out and she'll jump up and say, hey, Lambo, come over here. And she'll want to play with him away from.
Get out of dad's way.
Get out of dad's way. And I'm like, shit, she's managing me.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old is feeling the weight of Dustyn's inability to just be better, do better, man. Like, your 10-year-old doesn't need this weight, right? Your 15-year-old doesn't need this weight. They don't need to manage me. Like, just be aware, start to do a little bit better.
But it doesn't take that one epiphany to change your behavior for the future, right? You have to continually do that over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And I think that's the part that annoys me the most is, again, binary thinking. It's broke, fix it. Duh. Like, if I can do it once, I can do it twice. Why did it take me, we're hanging out with my 8-year-old right now. I don't even know where she is. She'll be fine, I'm sure. She's very resilient.
I haven't heard any loud crashes. So.
Yeah, she's very resilient. But some days, not of her fault, she's real needy. And it's a lot of daddies. And it's a lot of right when I just get sat down, or if I just get started doing something, it's an interruption. Well, in our job, it's a constant interruption. So that's, I bring that home with me too. I try to do things very fast, try not to get interrupted because I want to complete some sort of task before somebody bothers me. And at some point it'll just I'll get to the proverbial, what? Right? Well, she doesn't, can you get me the coloring book, Daddy? Yeah, I can. Sure. I'm not doing anything. Just be a passive aggressive asshole to an 8-year-old. Right? And then you sit in that for a second and you're like, there's nothing that she did in this life where she deserved that. And then you go, I'm sorry, baby. Like, what do you want to do? I'll color with you. I'll do whatever. It's kind of the thing. And then 3 days later, this is where I get mad at myself. What? Didn't you just go through this in your own head 3 days ago where you were going to stop doing this what thing? Nope. Here we are. So what do I got to do to fix that? Right?
And I think that maybe you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself in this, and I do the same thing. I think that what we can do in those circumstances is model the correct response for our kids. Being this is the thing we're talking about in this second. I do the same thing with Nora. When I feel her managing me, I sometimes just acknowledge it. Hey sis, I see you're trying to keep the dog out of the kitchen. Do you feel like I'm stressed out today? Yeah, I feel like you're stressed out today, Dad. Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And at the very least, I can't undo what I've already done, right? But at the very least, I can demonstrate to her that an adult is willing to submit themselves to the scrutiny of a child, and there's not like this hierarchy need of power and like just this healthy human relationship. It's perfectly okay for me to submit myself to my child in this example, and it's probably a really good thing for her to see that Dad is willing to be checked. And not that she's purposely calling me out. She's doing something in her brain that she thinks is good for me, which it is. But maybe I can build on that and say, hey, look, I see what you're doing. And I'm really working on this, and I'm not doing a very good job today. And that is that grace and forgiveness and trust and all those healthy things that can just strengthen that relationship. Don't fall into that trap of thinking my daughter's going to grow up. Always remember the times that Dad was like, what? Yeah. You know, like that's not giving your child enough credit.
See, you use all the good words like grace and things like that, and I see it as failure. Like, so when I get in those,
because you're binary.
Correct. That's exactly right. Like, I look at it as I screwed up.
Yeah.
And so what do you do when you screw up? Well, I guess you try again tomorrow, and you screw that, right? And so I can't give myself that. And it annoys me. It bothers me. Maybe that's something I need to continue to work through with Summer and Frontline Therapy, is allowing myself, again, the binary way of thinking. I have a certain expectation of how my day is going to go and how I'm going to act and how I'm going to be and how I'm going to show up for my friends and family and how I'm going to show up for my job. And at the end of the day, I can tell you, it's rare that I feel like I've lived up to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every day I go to bed going, God damn, I could have done that better. Or, I really didn't understand that problem on that flight. I didn't really troubleshoot what was going on with this to the best of my ability. It took me a little too long to catch on to it. Or I did the old, what? To my kids, right? Or I said something, I tried to make a point. Instead of just making a point, I was passive aggressive in making that. Pick your thing. Sometimes it's all three of those examples. Sometimes it's just one. And to me, one of those, to me in my brain, throws my whole day.
So two things. I think what maybe we did was do a pretty decent job of describing resiliency. There was only one man in history who lived a perfect life.
I know.
So we don't have to.
Yeah, we know him.
Right?
Yep.
So the expectation is you're not gonna.
Nope.
Right? And so that is something you're gonna have to continue to wrestle with. But I think the resiliency piece, what you described, I experienced working with a partner. This person is really, really good at their job, right? But in our world, we have nurses and we have paramedics, and this particular shift was heavy on scene flights. And this person wasn't feeling super confident in the way that they perceived their management of a very, I'm telling you this, and I think that maybe they'll hear this firsthand or secondhand, it's trivial.
Yeah.
But they felt it was a huge failure.
Yeah.
Right. And I could just see it wear on them, right?
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily super quick to want to let it go, to bounce back. And maybe that's the resiliency piece of like, how do you handle things when you feel like you didn't hit the mark, or maybe objectively you missed the mark? How do you get back on the horse, right? And that's that resiliency piece of like not letting this take up bandwidth in your day. Speaking of the flight shift, not carrying it with you on the next 2 flights that we had to go on, where I'm like, hey, you with me? I'm like, gonna need you.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't a one-man show today. Like, I'm gonna need you to let that one go for a bit. And you know, I kind of joked with this person after this incident happened. I was like, hey, do you want to talk about it? And they were like, nope. And I felt like 30 seconds. I just feel like I couldn't. Yeah. Oh, so you do want to talk about it?
So you don't want to talk about it.
No, I don't want to.
They want to talk about it on their own terms.
Like, okay, cool. We want to talk about it.
We don't want to force the hand.
Yeah.
We just let me open up to you, like, which I totally get.
Right. Like to get locked into those things, like that's maybe the advice that if anyone's out there and they feel themselves acting this way on, you know, whether you're working ground EMS, you're working air EMS, or working, whatever you're doing, really, when you experience that perceived setback, can you frame it? Can you separate what is real versus what is perceived, and let the perceived stuff go? And if there is something that is there when it is determined to be real, which only comes through opening yourself up to the advice of others, because I will tell you, I've done things like, man, I dropped the ball, and people around me are like, what the hell are you talking about? You're nuts, right? Yep. There's not an objective mistake that was made there because you had this much information and you're expected to make this much of a decision. Let that go. Right.
Do you think that people learn that from mentors, coworkers, or do you think you have to go see a professional? What if we were sitting here talking to the people that are on the fence about, well, would I really sign up to go to some professional to sit and listen to me talk about how I feel or how I perceive myself? Or are there really good strategies out there for people that maybe don't want the... And I can tell you from firsthand experience, going through the process of signing up to go somewhere and explaining to somebody why I'm there. Because the first thing Summer did when I got there is she says, hey, man, why are you here? Jesus, I didn't think about that. I just filled out a bunch of paperwork.
Listen, lady, I'm asking the question.
Yeah. What do you mean, why am I here? What kind of crap joke is this? Like, clearly I'm here because I'm a first responder. Okay, what does that mean? Big deal. Congratulations, right? I filled out all the paperwork. I said that I don't have any medical history of these things. I don't take any medicines, right? Like, I live an active lifestyle. Like, what do you mean, why am I here? Well, no, it's really that simple. What can I do for you, man? Why are you here? I don't know. I kind of want to find out more about me and how I interpret information and why I act a certain way, right? I don't think that I could have found that any other way other than seeking. And the point is it was well worth it to me, I think.
I think my answer to that question that you asked was, if there's somebody out there who is on the fence, I think it's a real long soak in what's preventing you from doing it.
Yeah.
Right? What is it that is truly keeping you from wanting to go talk to somebody? What is it that you're afraid of finding out potentially? What is it that you're trying to avoid? Is it a trust issue? Is it an optics thing? For me, I did have some concerns.
Sure.
That, you know, now it is documented in my medical history that I have sought counseling. Uh-huh. Right. So what could come of that if it got into the wrong hands?
Sure.
And I think that says more about me than it does about anybody else. That says that I really don't trust people.
Yeah.
And even when you come to that conclusion, you're like, shit, that's exactly where I need to be. Because why don't I trust people? And how many experiences have I missed out on in life and relationships that have soured that otherwise wouldn't have if I had just come to grips with or come to terms with this sooner? Like it still is a significant issue for me, trusting people. Right. So yeah. I think that's maybe the best answer I could give to what I would say to those that are on the fence, whether or not to pursue this. Like, what's holding you back?
I can tell you that one of the interesting byproducts of it that I didn't expect was how many people I knew sitting in the waiting room when I came out.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how I was going to feel about that the first time. It wasn't near as awkward as that. Like you see one guy coming out of the porn shop at noon, right? And you're like, you're walking in and you're like, I know, right? Like that's the thing. It was more of a, holy shit, I'm happy to see you. Like
that's what it should be.
Right? Like it was
high five.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of back slaps and hugs and probably more often than not, I would run into somebody that I knew from a previous, I wouldn't say life, but job,
Sure.
right? Or somewhere. And how good it was to see people in that moment and not, oh my God, he just saw me here. What is he going to think of me?
Yeah.
Right. Well, there was none of that.
I'm glad to hear that, because that's exactly where it should be. Like it should be like a huge celebration of like, man, I'm so glad so glad that you're here, because I know the things that I've experienced in a positive way because of the work that I've let others pour into me.
Yeah.
And that really is what it is. Like allowing other people to kind of pour into you and acknowledging that you are imperfect and that there's a lot of things that you can do better, but only with the help of others.
Sure.
Right. That you can live a pretty fulfilled, very good life, but it's not on an island, man. It's in that community.
Do you feel like at any point during this conversation, we actually made a point?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the people, I wish people, hey, zip it. Nobody cares. Okay. We're not talking to you. This is an adult conversation. Nope. Only because I think it's very important that, again, I'm binary way of thinking. There was a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah.
And that people take away from our conversation of being in this profession for a very, very long time. And the thing that I had to come to grips with, and the thing that I have to be okay with is that I'm okay.
Yeah.
When I know that so many people maybe aren't. But I hope that those that are listening, right, that are on the fence, realize that even like there's something out there for everybody.
Yeah.
That anybody can go, anybody can seek it, even if it's from a coworker or friend or whatever. Like just opening up the conversation and letting the momentum take effect. Because once you start the discovery process, it's kind of interesting.
It is very interesting. I hate cliche sayings like I'm not trying to downplay it.
I know.
It helps certain people. It's okay to not be okay is something that you hear a lot when conversations turn towards counseling or therapy. I look at it a little bit differently. I'm a kind of a visuals type person in that, like, Dustyn, if all I had to account for was Dustyn, sure, like I could probably manage life pretty okay. But I got people that depend on me. I've got a team in my personal life and my professional life that depend on me. And there are things that I just can't bring to the table. If we're looking at a cohesive, productive, positive outcome thing, I have to be willing to acknowledge that I'm going to have things that I'm just not good at, that there are things that I'm going to come up short on every single time. Yeah. But that's where my wife comes in, because she kind of brings in the rest of this conversation that my children need, and parents. So if we look at that thing, that productive thing, it's parenting, right? Yeah. I'm going to lean on her. I'm going to rely on her to bring her into the game to the table to make sure that our kids have the things that they need. Like, to expect that I'm going to have all the answers, make all the decisions correctly for two young children working their way into young adulthood, that's ridiculous. Yeah. Right? Short-sighted. Yeah. So that's a work thing. That's a personal life thing.
But if you're binary like me, there's only one right answer.
Yeah. If you got something wrong, like that's just a huge failure and you're just going to sit on that. But like, you can understand, like, that's why you have Lindsay, right? This is why you have the two of you to collectively come together, and you could use that example at work. That's why you fly with another provider, right? Yeah. Lean on them, let them be your partner, and not just making decisions in the helicopter, but also in your professional growth and trusting, letting yourself be scrutinized, letting yourself hear hard truths.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing is every day that you commit to being a better version of yourself, every moment you commit to that, you leave yourself open for hard things to listen to. You are not being the best version of yourself right now. This is not the best way to think. You are not being the most kind person. You are not being the smartest clinician. You are not being the best teammate right now. And but hearing those things, the end product of hearing those things is way better than you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Which is a version of you didn't think existed. It's real easy for us to live in our silo, and I am clearly guilty of it because of the way I think, right? It is my way or your way, and your way is real wrong. My way is real right, right? But I've noticed since then, since that evaluation of me, I can step back and look at the way you look at things and go, oh, I'll be damned. Yeah, that makes sense. I get it. That has then just clued me into something that I probably wasn't going to allow myself to think or feel before that. And it's exposed me to a whole different, like a better feeling, a better experience, a better, more intuitive concept. And I think that I've gotten a lot smarter since I've been able to do that. But the problem is, right, so I allow your idea to become my idea, and I'm like, man, that's a really good idea type of thing. Not that my way or the highway, that sounds like I'm very this way, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The experiences I've gotten from just taking that minute and going, where'd that come from, you think? Oh, well, I see it now. That makes a lot of sense. If I could take anything away from it, that sticks with me from the 8 or 10 sessions I have, is that you have a binary way of thinking, and it's distorted. It's not correct. And then my response, of course, being, I agree to disagree, right? And so everything that I look at now, I really try to look at with here's a cliche, a different lens, right? I try to look at it from a different angle.
Yeah. And that opens the door, I feel like, for people like me included, that find it very hard to forgive myself, but that opens the door for that stuff to start to actually be a reality. When you're understanding, like, man, this is just how I am, and I'm working at it, and I'm not going to get it right.
Yeah. There's no end game to this.
It's a continuous cycle, right? You're never gonna fully refine out all the bad shit. No. You're still just gonna, the more longer you go, the more you're gonna find other stuff to tweak.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
And that's that spot where I think I felt like I could finally start to forgive myself, and even gave me a chance to start looking around, like, am I truly forgiving other people? I hold grudges, like, and I'm good at holding grudges.
Let me ask you this, and this is an existential question that Malcolm and I used to get into all the time, and I think we were both on the same side. If you forgive somebody, does that mean you treat them like nothing ever happened? And if you treat them different, did you really forgive them?
Isn't that the biblical example?
I don't know, man.
It is.
Like, I get that, but if you do me wrong, and you and I used to talk once a week, we used to send text messages once a week or whatever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you did me wrong. And I say, you know what, man, I forgive you. But I stopped sending you text messages. I'm treating you different. Did I forgive you?
I would say that's a fair question to ask yourself. Yeah,
I hold grudges. The point of that is I hold grudges too, man. Like, it's hard for me.
There's something hanging out there, right?
You know who's in the forgiveness business? Jesus. And he's real good at it.
Yeah.
I am not. But that's what a good question though.
But I think this goes into maybe not what we have time for today, but like, you can't forgive yourself. So how in the hell are you supposed to be able to forgive others?
Yeah.
Right. If you're such a person that hangs on to something that, a small or even a big mistake, and it just grinds at you, and you just never let it go, you want to use it to continuously punish yourself into
Do we do it because we
submission.
think we're special though? Because
Well,
I can shoulder that burden and I know that I can because I have a perception of me that is different than
I guess
yours?
I don't know why. That's a pretty deep question and a good question. But if you can't forgive Jason for making a mistake, like you're probably not real good at forgiving other people who make mistakes either completely in the way that we're called to forgive, because that was what was demonstrated for us in that Bible is very clear. When we are forgiven, it is as though it never happened. Right. So then that would lend itself to the next phase of that is the treatment, the prodigal son, the arms wide
It's
open.
real hard on earth to forgive somebody and treat him like, yeah, obviously depending on the nature of the,
Sure.
the nature of the negative consequence or the negative action.
And maybe to clarify, so that if anyone's listening and they're feeling like they're being called out, like there are people in my life that I feel like I have a lot to go on the forgiveness piece, but I have purposefully removed them from my life because their behavior hasn't changed.
Sure.
Right. And that you could say, well, you're not talking to these people anymore. Did you truly forgive them? Like there are those nuances where I can say, like,
not in my life, buddy.
I forgive, what you've done in the past, but I'm going to prevent myself from the future instances of behavior I still see you doing.
Yeah,
You're still manipulating. You're still purposely trying to be divisive. Those negative.
You don't
things.
harbor any ill will. Like you don't hate them. You don't.
Right.
You're not.
So I want to make sure we're clear in that it's okay to separate yourself from somebody if the things that are happening between you and them are harmful. It's okay to make that separation.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to say that, well, I forgave them, so that means I have to continue to subject myself to their abusive behavior. Like that's a completely different. I want to make sure. I hope nobody makes that confusion.
Yeah. I just hope that people, it's kind of like anything else. We do this as service once a year. It's June, right? We say, hey, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we're going to sit down, and Dustyn and I are going to sit down and talk about our mental health. And then, next June probably won't be any different. But obviously this deserves more than its own month. It deserves awareness on any day, on any given day. And I think the point of us sitting here and talking is to catch up, kind of figure out where we are on our own, where we're at with our own mental health, how we wake up every day and acknowledge it. Like I have to wake up every day and acknowledge it, that I may not be in the best headspace, and here's why. But more importantly, those things we do to kind of get ourselves out of it and moving forward. And that actually talking to somebody professionally is a legit, really easy kind of tool to use. Yeah. If you're just sitting around going, man, I wonder what I can do to get out of it. I wonder if I should listen to this guy on Instagram talk, or I wonder if I should Google this, or I wonder if I should go this. That actually just the best way to solve a problem is start working on the problem. Like
after our first episode aired, I was happy and humbled by the response. People were reaching out.
Good.
And I hope that those people did follow through. And if they didn't, maybe this is that reminder. Hey, maybe you do. This is still hanging out.
Hey, you said you were going to do this last June, and now it's 2025. Where are we at on this deal?
So when I say that there's, the closing, if we're wrapping this up, and like what I hope comes out of this is, again, to just further embolden people to whatever it looks like. Find people that you trust, and let them pour into you. Expose yourself. Be willing to take risks. Trust people around you to help you with things.
Hold each other to account. Yeah,
don't feel like you have to do this all on your own. Those are all those negative things, those lies we tell ourselves, that there's nobody understands us, that we're unique, that we're special, that do drive people into isolation. And that's where real bad stuff can happen for people. So whether that looks like professional counseling, whether it looks like, just reaching out to friends that you trust.
It took us almost 80 minutes to come to that conclusion that I think is the take home from this whole thing, is we all think we're special. Right? Like we all think we're different. I'm different than you, Dustyn. So I'm going to handle it a different way. I'm going to fix it my way.
Yeah.
This won't affect me the way it affected you, whatever this being, to find out that we're not.
Yeah, we're not special in the sense of we're built completely different from the rest of humanity. We're important, right?
Yeah.
You're important. We're important.
Yeah.
So maybe replace I'm special with I'm important, and maybe that'll ratchet up the pressure. Like I'm important, and then who am I important to?
I'm going to tell you this. I'll leave on this note. There's a kid that's about to start the EMTB program in DMAC, and every time I run into this kid, he has the biggest smile on his face. Like his name is Nate, and he's a cool kid. He was an Iowa State college kid. I tried to get him to finish his degree, but he's like, listen, I got to get into that DMAC program, EMT basic program. So I'm going to do that. And I was like, listen, you got all the time in the world to do that. Finish your degree. And what did he do? But wasn't going to talk him out of it. This guy's fired up.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see. He's a young kid. Every time I see him and he's like, hey man, I'm starting class this week, or I got in or that, like the biggest smile. It's kind of fun to watch. And he's real fresh. 23, 22, 20. Yeah. I don't know.
I love EMT students because they're just that. Like, and I also love paramedic students and CCP students. They come back, but there is some like that. I really feed off that like just everything is shiny and new, and they're so.
It was really hard for me to be like, hey, listen, man, calm down. Because his enthusiasm was like, and then I kind of caught myself doing it, right? Well, I'm the old dog in this conversation. So I'm like, listen, man, calm down.
Right.
Like, let me tell you how it's going to turn out for you. Yeah. And instead I was just like, listen, man, I'm happy for you. What can I do for you? How can I help you? Like, I know some people. Can I throw your name? Like, whatever you need, man. Yeah. You call me. I gave him my number. I was like, you call me and whatever you need, man. I'm excited for you. Because we do that without getting in another side conversation. How many times do we do that to younger people when we're like, let me shelter you from what you think you're about to get into?
Yeah.
And because it may not be what you think it is. So let me tell you how it is and paint a different picture than what your innocence is painting for you. And I think we do a disservice to that too. We're like, you want to be an EMT? Pff, save the trouble. Save your back.
Yeah.
Do something productive with your life.
Yo, man, you asked earlier would I do it any differently, and I don't think I would. I think that there was a time in my life when I would have said, yeah, I'd go back and do it differently. But like every one of the things, the highs and the lows, that's why I'm here today.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty happy with where I am today. So if doing it differently means I wouldn't end up in your living room right now on a Friday, no, man, I would go through it all over again in the exact same way. Because, like I said, the bumps and the positives, like, it's been a hell of a good ride.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Like I've got if you would have asked me 10 years ago what 10 years from that point forward looked like, I wouldn't have said it would look like here doing this, just talking shit about mental health and trying to get people to understand more about themselves. I wouldn't have guessed it. I wouldn't have guessed that it would have been so, fulfilling.
Yeah.
The profession. Cause maybe in your first 10 years, it kind of felt like a grind. You're like, man, I got to do this for another 20 years. I got to get up at 2 a.m. for another 20 years. It probably would have felt a little different back then. I'm certainly glad that I didn't give up on it.
Life is, and I do feel like I'm in that old miserly mindset right now, but like life is interesting.
Isn't it though?
And it's wonderful. Really is pretty damn great.
It is.
Like just the experiences that we could sit here and talk about over the last 20 years we've been doing this. And
I find that people are interesting.
Yeah.
Like I have a new renewed interest in people and just how they react and how they act and how I perceive them in the world and how I perceive myself with them coexisting in my world, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that whole, how I used to think that I am special. And then how I fit with that into the rest of the world is not true at all. Like that guy saw that physical therapist saw 100 of me.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's how he knew that I was special, is because there was 100 people that came before me, just like me.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's people out there just like you, when you think that you're something unique and which we all are, I get it. But in the grand scheme of human nature and the human condition, we're all real similar.
Yeah. I try I try. I don't always do great. I try to choose gratitude.
Yeah. It's a conscious thing for me.
Yeah.
I have to, again, I have a very visceral reaction to things that's been ingrained for a long, long time, like almost a half a century. And for me to unprogram that
Yeah.
is a large task, and it's something that I have to take up every day, and I certainly lose more than I win. But on those rare occasions I do win, I feel it, and it's a better feeling. It leaves a lasting impact, a more positive impact on my day and the people around me when I do win. You just got to keep. I know it gets to be one of those where you're like, wherever I'm trying to get to, I don't really feel like I'm getting there type of thing, and you're treading water, but you just got to keep going. Like there's something at the end for all of us, and I think it's pretty cool when we get there. You just got to keep swimming. You got anything else?
Oh man, I'm good catching up.
This is great. I really do appreciate you coming out to my house, even though I legally probably can't drive right now from under the influence of narcotics.
I get to see you with one shaved leg and a walker. This was more than I was hoping for this week.
This is real. This is emotionally. This is really hard on me.
Yeah.
Because I was out trying to do push-ups the other day, and trying to like no days off, all gas, no breaks, baby. That's me, right? And I was out there doing it, and then I got up this morning and I was like, oh. Maybe I should just wait a day or two.
Yeah, let that stubble kind of come in.
Yeah, let's let the swelling go down a little bit. Get this pain under control, and I'll get back on the push-ups. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming.
Hey, we'll see you.
All right, everybody. Work hard. Be kind. Hey, guys. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. I need to ask if you would leave a rating. I think that it helps people who are new to the podcast find it quicker. It doesn't do me any good, but it does help other people that are looking for the Shift Change Podcast on Spotify or Apple. It just comes up quicker the more ratings that you give it. Whether you give it a 2 or a 5, it doesn't make a difference. It just helps other people. If you need to get a hold of me, contact me via my email, the show email, which is talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Or you can message me on Instagram at talk.shiftchange. Excuse me, at talk.shiftchange on Instagram. As always, thanks for listening. I could not have imagined how well this podcast has been received. So, as always, I appreciate it. Work hard, be kind.